rate the performance of the UPND against that of the PF. It won't make sense to me, and I believe it won't make sense to you, and it will not be helpful at all. I feel that we need to be prudent in rating the UPND, and I think the basis on which we should rate the UPND is basically their own messages, their own promises, their own assurances, their own vision, their own mission, their own manifesto. I think this is the ideal basis on which we can rate the performance of the UPND, because this is the basis on which the UPND was ushered into power. I hope I'm clear on that one. So having said that, let us look at the UPND in the opposition. Who was the UPND in the opposition, and who is the UPND in the governing seat? Are they one and the same? I may leave that to you to judge. However, when you look at the UPND in the opposition, they spoke so much against corruption and accused the various regimes, because by then there was MMD, later on there was the PF. So they accused these regimes of corruption, mass looting, and so on and so forth. They accused them of incompetences. They accused them of being wasteful. They accused them of having no clue of whatever they were doing whilst they were in power. So this is the UPND in the opposition. If you remember, at one point in time, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema actually demanded that Mr. Sata fire a certain minister whom Mr. Hakainde Hichilema considered to have been corrupt. And Mr. Sata succumbed to the pressure that was coming from Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, and that minister was fired. Unfortunately, or surprisingly, when Mr. Hakainde Hichilema formed the government, the very person Mr. Hakainde Hichilema called corrupt, incompetent, or whatever, this is the person that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema got into his cabinet. So on the basis of fighting corruption, I don't know what your conclusion would be. Does he really mean what he says? Is he the man that can fight corruption? Because he accused this person of corrupt practices. The very person he accused, this is the person you find in his first lineup of cabinet ministers. His first lineup of cabinet ministers. And the same minister now, he's been found at the center of controversy regarding corrupt activities. And instead of firing this minister, he simply switches the position. From being on the left, he has taken him maybe to the defense. That's what he has done. Why isn't he firing this person? Because in the very first place, he said this person was corrupt. So, for me, personally, now I'm rating the UPND. That's how I'm going to rate the UPND. On that score, the UPND can't fight corruption. On that basis, UPND is not here to fight corruption. If I thought they are fighting corruption, it's only under the circumstances that they are going to fight a corrupt person so that they get advantage and benefit from the same corruption that that person has committed. So it's like sending a thief to catch a thief. So you expect this thief to chase the thief, gun down that thief, and this thief would want also to steal from the same thief he has gunned down. That's what the UPND is doing. So they can't fight corruption. Far from it. If the president, and he is on record, having said that his ministers and the permanent secretaries were being taught how to steal by a clique, and you, I don't know, and you praise singers, supporters, or whatever, I don't know Chua. Because when you are recruiting someone or you are appointing someone into a position, or even being at a business level, company level, you are appointing somebody in a position, the first thing that you look at is this is the person who cannot be influenced to do something wrong. That's the first thing we look at. So if the president is seated there and he has his understanding that his ministers can be taught how to steal, how to be corrupt, then why did he appoint them in the first place? Because then these are weaklings. These are people who don't have their own mind. They are not strong people who can resist temptation. By virtue of him making that pronouncement, the president can't fight corruption. Far from it. Far from it. If the appointing authority can acknowledge that the people he has appointed are being taught on how to steal, how to go into corruption, then why is he keeping them? These are the questions that you need to start asking yourself when you are rating the UPND's performance. Why did he keep them? So on that score again, I don't think the UPND are here to fight corruption. If anything, they are here to promote corruption. They are here to promote corruption. Look at the Zambia saga that we are talking about today. The figures that are being mentioned today. And the interest that the executive holds in certain institutions, that also holds a share in Zambia. And this is the man who's the appointing authority of the IDC. This is the man who appoints the board of the IDC and the top senior-most leadership of the IDC. And the UPND in the opposition said, we are going to destroy, we are going to remove or to abolish or to abandon the IDC. And they accused the PF of using the IDC to siphon money from this country, to rob the citizens of their money. But the moment the UPND came into power, they have abandoned that idea of abolishing the IDC. What do we see? We are seeing crazy acquisitions. Acquisitions in which certain individuals of authority have got influence or have got an interest. So on that score, the UPND is 0 out of 0 on corruption. So the only issues you see about coming out about corruption under the UPND, those are only issues that are vindictive. Those are issues that they want to fix one or two individuals, not that they are fighting corruption. They want to incapacitate those that they perceive to be their serious opponents come 2026. Otherwise, they are not here to fight corruption. So that's how I would love you to rate the UPND. You need to rate them based on their own pronouncements, their own visions, their own missions, their own word to you, the assurances that they gave you. On the cost of living, we all know what the UPND said when they were in the opposition. On load shedding, you know what the UPND said when they were in the opposition. They said there is no way Zambia can be facing load shedding. It's because there is mismanagement. But here we have extended hours of load shedding, and we are not going to see this thing coming to an end anytime soon. These are people that even condemned the mitigation measures that the UPND, the PF had put in place of expanding capacity of producing electricity in this country. They condemned it as a waste of money. So if you're going to rate them based on their own words. For me, that's what will make a lot of sense. So far, based on their very own words, by UPND, they haven't scored anything significant. They have not scored anything significant. For you who are coming to social media and say, no, they have ended cadarism, you just don't understand. And you don't move a lot. What the UPND has simply done is to remove cadarism at the grassroots level and push it up high in the ranks of the UPND. In PF, it looked to be out of hand because it was done at the most lowest level of the party. But what is happening under the UPND is actually in the middle ranks of the party. And that's why you are seeing people that are taking to the social media and these other media platforms, insulting the citizens of this country, threatening the citizens of this country, are people in positions. It's no longer the cadre at the bottom there, but it's the people with authority coming from the party itself who are making those threats to cause harm to citizens of this country. So on that score again, I don't think the UPND has scored anything. They haven't scored anything that we can talk about and celebrate and say, no, they have done a good job. You will argue to me to say, no, they have managed to restructure the debt and so on and so forth. Yeah. Yama, tatushitire nkumba muisaka. Takwa wakushitire nkumba muisaka. As long as you don't know the terms and the conditionalities that the UPND has signed, is nothing for you to celebrate about. You can't say nabashite nkumba mule munafie saka no mulo paule tonatio nabashite nkumba. Who knows? Livi muri popi. So on that score again, I can't give them credit. Nakana. Because I don't know what they have agreed to. I don't know. Because we are coming from a background where the PF said we did not fail, but we were not comfortable with the certain demands that were coming from the IMF. So what are these demands that the UPND today has agreed to, and agreed that the UPND, the IMF can agree to the restructuring program? So all these things are things that personally, I would say I can't give them any rating worthy to say they have done something. No. Nakana. Ishishitire nkumba muisaka ineyo. Nemfuri na isule saka na rolesha mukati namona nefuta lya nkumbati. Linkumpe iliumu. So I don't know what they have signed. When we go to agriculture, they said the PF will pay a farmer. Should we go further, rating the UPND? I think let us not even waste time. Our friends need to reintrospect. They need to realize why they are in government. They must go back and search their souls and get to understand why they are in government. And one last thing the president was saying, no, TikTok, people think that they're saying on TikTok, what the narrative, what? I think the president needs to come out clean here. From his own cabinet, we have received so many conflicting statements. So many conflicting statements. So if he's going to talk about not misleading the nation, it must start from his own cabinet. We need to see consistency. But the problem is that when you're not being truthful to your own people, you're not telling your people the truth. That is why you find yourself having conflicting statements. On the issue of the sale of maize, we all know how many statements were issued. How many statements were issued? We all know. Which does not make sense at all. And when we start questioning these things, we are being rebelled, which I don't mind anyway. However, there is no way we can give Rwanda 10,000 hectares of land for free, and then we go and buy land in our own land for $13.5 million. That is total robbery. That is total robbery. You are misusing the little resources. And if you talked about managing resources prudently, I think there again I'm giving you 0 out of 0, 0 out of 10. There is no way you can spend 13.5 million on a piece of land. Yet the similar size of land, you've given it to Rwanda for free. It doesn't make sense. And that land that you are buying, your own company where you have shares, it has got an interest in that land. So who made those decisions? Who influenced those decisions? Who evaluated the price at which government should buy that property? Who evaluated that property? So these are issues that when we are speaking, it's not that because we are out of power or the people we supported are out of power, but these are things that are affecting the well-being of this country. If I'm PF to Adelanda, these are issues that affect the integrity of our own country. So if we can't deal with these issues, there is no future to talk about. There is no future to celebrate. There is nothing good for one to stand up and sing the national anthem. There is nothing good, because we are being robbed by our own. We are being mistreated by our own. And this notion, and I want to make this clear, this notion of saying, I've given you freedom. Where did you get that freedom to give me? Where did you get that freedom to give anyone? This notion that you people have, especially by Vuvuzela, no, we have given you the freedom of speech. Where did you get that freedom to give me? No one under the sun has given anyone freedom here in this country called Zambia. These freedoms are there, which we have given ourselves in the supreme law of the land. The only thing that